I'm not telling you should get one or not, but I mean, it's completely up to you, but I got one and I love it. And I'm never getting rid of it. So y'all know it's not a miss. Miss. Damn. So that's cool. It's alive! What's going on, guys? Welcome to another video. We are back. A lot of cops out here, so I'm not going to be able to go too crazy right now, but I do want to drive and talk about my ownership with the M3 and if you should buy one or if you should not buy one. I'm gonna go ahead and tell you everything I've been through, what you guys could expect, what you guys should do, what you guys can't do, and stuff like that. So but a lot of people recently have asked me, should they get an M3, especially since the prices are going down now. Like, it used to be a dream car for a lot of people. It used to be a dream car for me, and then I eventually got one. But I think it's a great car. I'm just gonna say that. I'm gonna start off with that. It's a great car. Now, let's go ahead and tackle the elephant in the room. Everybody wants to know rod bearings. Do you have to do rod bearings? Yes, I would do rod bearings. It's not a myth. It's not a will it go, does it actually happen? I mean, it can. It's not guaranteed, but I mean, it's like holding a grenade. Like, it most likely will blow up. So I mean, it's up to you if you don't want to do them, but me, I don't like the risk. So I mean, you go to a shop, so say you get an M3, take your car to the shop, first thing you should do is rod bearings. It's gonna cost about between $2,000 and $3,000 at a shop to do rod bearings. And they're gonna upgrade the rod bearings with better aftermarket rod bearings and ARP studs, and you'll never have to do them again. So I mean, I've seen rod bearings blow at 30,000 miles on a car. I've seen them blow at 100. I did mine at 97 and they were terrible. They were really bad. I probably had another 5,000 miles left on my car in that form. So I mean, I'm glad I did it just in time, and I think if you get one, you should definitely do them too. I've recommended anybody else that bought an M3 that I know, I told them, hey, I would go ahead and do the rod bearings now, don't wait, just in case. Because if you don't do them for, you know, $3,000, then you blow your engine and now you need 10,000. So I mean, it's up to you if you want to take the risk. But me, do it, get that peace of mind, never have to worry about it. Because other than that, the car's pretty much flawless. That is like the biggest issue with these M3s. Just get it done. Now, let me introduce my car, now that we got that out the way. This is my 2008 E93 M3. E93 is the convertible. They have different chassis codes, but it's all the same car. So if you hear anybody say E90X, well, the X is just a variable. E90 is sedan, E92 is coupe, E93 is convertible. So this is the E93. I bought this thing, I can't remember if it was 4 or 5 years ago. What's up, Global Tires? I'm just driving around back roads. Between, I can't think, 2015 or 2016, I can't remember, but it's been either 4 years or 5 years since I've had this car, and I got it at 60,000 miles. I'm currently at 157. So I've had this car for almost 100,000 miles. So I've seen pretty much everything it will do or everything it won't do. So I feel like I'm a great person to review the car for you, because it's not like I had it for 3 months and give my opinion on it. No, I've had this car for a long time. This is my daily driver. Drive it every single day. So let's get to it. Another thing you might hear about is throttle actuators. A lot of people tell you, you got rod bearings, you got throttle actuators. Throttle actuators aren't guaranteed. And if they do go, I mean, your car just goes in limp mode and you need a tow home. And usually when they do go, they'll go out, you can restart your car will drive fine. So I mean, you can most of the time get it home and just scan the codes and it'll tell you if it's throttle actuators. And if that's the case, you have a chance to, you know, make it home at least, and then just go about getting your throttle actuators done after that. Now, you can buy OEM throttle actuators, or you can get them rebuilt. If you buy OEM, they are expensive. They're like $800 a piece. You have two. If one goes out, The second one's gonna be right behind it. So it's easy to just go in there and replace them both at the same time. You can have a shop do it. You can do it yourself. It's not that difficult. I haven't done it yet. Surprisingly, at 157,000 miles, I have not had to change throttle actuators yet. But if they do, I'll do it myself because I've done some other stuff and I don't think it's that hard. My friend Jacob, when he got his M3, his throttle actuators went out. Well, one of them went out, I think like maybe 2 weeks after he got the car, and he just replaced the one, and then like a month later the other one went out. So yeah, just do them both. So you had to go back in there twice. If you go OEM, you can get them for like 800 piece, or you can take your throttle actuators out, send them off to get rebuilt, and that's like maybe 200 or 300. I can't remember the price exactly. You guys have to look it up, but it's way cheaper than buying OEM. And they also have rebuild kits, because usually when they go out, the gears in there, they're plastic and they kind of run off and they don't open the throttle like they're supposed to. And usually you could just replace the gears, but also at the same time, most people say once you replace the gears, or the gears start to do that, then it messes up the MOSFET. The MOSFET is the computer that actually controls it, and once the computer goes out, I mean, you can't replace that. You're gonna need a new one anyway. So that's, again, that's up to you if you want to replace the entire thing or just get it rebuilt for way cheaper. I mean, it's up to you. Me, I'll probably, I mean, if they go out, because like I said, at this point, I don't know if they'll even go out. If they go out, I'll just get, you know, some whole new ones. I don't want to do the rebuild kit and all that. Off that, let's talk about the pros and cons of this car. I'm gonna start off with the cons, and I'm gonna go ahead and say this now. I'm not trying to be biased. I'm truly not trying to be biased. There are no real cons to this car. Like, the only con this car has is it's not that fast. In a straight line, it's not that fast. So they come with 414 crank horsepower, which, you know, there's a difference between crank horsepower and wheel horsepower. We'll talk about upgrades and stuff later on, but crank horsepower is the power that's rated at the engine. The engine is built, you know, by BMW. They put it in their engine dyno, and they dyno it at 414 horsepower. Then they put the engine in the car. The engine power from the engine has to go through the clutch, the transmission, the drive shaft, the wheels, and everything, and then you lose a lot of that 414 horsepower all the way back to the wheel. So when they do wheel horsepower, like cars you see on the dyno, that's truly what's actually going to the ground. So 414 crank horsepower, but it's really like stock ones dyno between 320 and 340 wheel horsepower. So which is, I mean, it's decent, but I mean, it's not a straight line car. And it is a V8, but it's a small V8. It's a little kid's meal. It's a 4-liter V8, so it doesn't have a lot of torque. It doesn't have a lot of grunt. Like right now I'm in 4th gear, 3,000 RPM. If I floor it, it sounds cool, but it's not going anywhere. So it doesn't have no low end power. So I mean, you really don't get all your power till like after 5,000 RPM. But God, I love the fucking sound of this thing. The sound though, whew, we'll get to that later. But that's like the only con. So I mean, if you're buying this car for a straight line car and looking at horsepower numbers, it's not that fast. Like, you're gonna get gapped by a lot of cars if your whole purpose is to buy this car and take it to Mexico. You're gonna get beat by stock 5.0s. You're gonna get beat by 335s with a tune and simple bolt-ons. I mean, you're gonna lose to a lot of cars if you plan on buying this as a straight line car. Straight line is not that fast. It's not made for straight line. It's made to be a track car. So I mean, you take this thing to the track, take it to Auto X events and stuff like that, then that's really where the car shines. But as far as a straight line car, that's not what it's made for. So now let's tackle the pros. The pros, this thing is super reliable. I know it's a BMW, there's no way. No, trust me, this thing is actually super reliable. And a lot of BMWs really are reliable. It's just the owners don't maintain them. The owners don't do stuff like rod bearings and be prepared to do throttle actuators. So if you buy an M3, don't know anything about rod bearings and drive it hard as soon as it warms up with that thick ass oil, then yeah, it's gonna blow. And you're gonna be like mad. You're like, oh, it's the worst car ever. Well, you treated it wrong, and that was your fault. The reason you need to warm the thing up, first of all, is because of the rod bearings, is because the oil is so thick. It's 10W60. and it's Castrol is the OEM. That's what they came out with back in, you know, early 2000s or late 2000s. And then we converted, and a lot of people just use liquid moly or Motul or something like that, which is supposed to be a whole lot better. I've always used liquid moly as long as I've owned the car, and obviously it's still good. So but the oil's real thick. When you pour it out, it's super thick. So if you don't warm the car up correctly before you start beating on it, yeah, you're gonna damage some stuff. So make sure you warm the car up. Like me, there's an oil temp sensor right here. I like to get it in the middle. A lot of people say you can do it at the first dot. Oops. But I like to keep it in the middle, like around the middle. Sometimes if you're driving harder, to go a little bit past the middle, but I mean, that's normal. It'll get to about maybe 230 oil temp wise, and that's pretty much as high as it'll go. But it's I love 6-speed too. We'll talk about that in a second. I also have Verbal Tune. We'll talk about all that in a second. I couldn't resist. It was wide open. What was I talking about? Reliable. This thing is super reliable. So I've had this thing over almost 100,000 miles. I've changed like 4 things. Okay, I changed rod bearings at 97, but the only thing that this thing has put me on a tow truck one time. Like I said, take it to work every single day, driving on the weekends, and this thing has left me stranded one time when the alternator went out, and that was only like 6 months ago. So I mean it had to happen eventually. Over 150,000 miles on an alternator, stock alternator, can't complain. But that was, let's see, so I did alternator, the rod bearings, a fuel pump sensor went out, which I don't know, it was kind of weird. It kept going in limp mode, scanning the codes. It said fuel pump sensor. It wasn't even the fuel pump, it was just the sensor. So the sensor was somewhere on there. I took it to the shop because I didn't feel like doing it. Thermostat, I did have a thermostat code. It threw a code for the thermostat. I don't even know if the thermostat was bad, but it threw a code. And I was trying to get emissions done, and check engine light was on because of thermostat, so I had to get that changed. So, but I mean, that's not too difficult of a job either. I didn't do it myself because I'm lazy and I'd rather work on my older cars, but working on this car is not that hard. Oh, map sensor, I did do map sensor too. Map sensor started throwing a code, and I changed that myself, and that was probably one of the hardest jobs you could do in this car. So I made a DIY on that, and changing a map sensor is actually harder than changing the throttle actuators. And that was the reason I tried it, because I wanted to know if I could do that. That way, if my throttle actuators do go out, then I'll be fine. Another reason I decided to do this job myself is because getting this far is most of the job you need to get to the throttle actuators. But yeah, super reliable. If you're scared to own this car because of reliability, say just do rod bearings, throttle actuators, you might have to do them, but other than that, perfect, great car. I have no problem with like suspension or anything like that. But okay, let's talk about mods now. Now we'll talk about mods and what I've done to my car, what other options you guys have. For me, did a AFE intake. I mean, they got plenty of intakes you can do. I think AFE is probably the best and most reasonably priced. Does it make a huge difference? I can't really tell. I don't want to say no, but I'm not going to say like, oh my god, this intake changed my life, because I'd be lying. But I'll say one mod that did change the car dramatically was doing test pipes, which deletes the primary cats, and that changed the car a lot. I remember the first time I got the car back from the shop and driving that car for the first time. First of all, the sound changed like crazy, and then it was so addicting, and I could not stop driving the car after that. And it felt so much faster, like it was ridiculous. They say test pipes give you like 20 to 25 wheel. I believe it, I really do, because that really woke up the car, and it felt like a different car after that. I also did underdrive pulleys, which are kind of like lightweight pulleys, I guess, and they, you know, take some of that parasitic drag away. I don't know if that made a difference or not, because I actually did that at the same time I did test pipes, so I felt both of those mods at the same time. But some people say it makes 10 wheel horsepower. I don't know, can't confirm, but that's just what, you know, the people that sell it say. So they could be lying, just try to sell it to you. But for the most part, I mean, doing that in test pipes definitely made a huge difference. So I am full catless now, and I have a Gentani race muffler. The thing about mufflers on this car, they they are kind of pricey. I mean, you're definitely paying an M tax. Like all the catbacks are like between, you know, on average like $3,000 and up. Like there's some that are like $8,000. I think Meister's shaft I think is like $8,000, which sounds really good. But the thing about these cars is that there are no bad exhaust sounds. Like I've never heard in the M3 that I didn't like the sound of. But I mean, they got like, I mean, it's all towards the source of exhaust. Our PI, Active Auto Works. This is Gentani Race, which is like the deepest tone of it all. If you're listening to this on a phone, you might not hear what it truly sounds like. Put some headphones in, because this thing is really deep tone. And people say, wow, in person, it's like, it does not sound like it does on a phone. Or like when I do it like on my Instagram story, like it does not sound the same. Friend Chris just bought an E9X M3 like 2 weeks ago, and he heard my setup and he's like, yep, I'm gonna copy you. But as far as exhaust prices, like I said, that's all like new prices. You can find some deals out there. You have an option to take your stock muffler and cut it open and pull out the fiberglass and change the perforated pipes for straight pipes and put the muffler back together, and it sounds amazing. I had that set up for maybe a year and a half, maybe 2 years when I first got the car. Yeah, I think exhaust was the very first mod I did, because these things stock, they sound, I don't want to say they sound like ass, but they just don't sound how they should. They're so muffled stock that it doesn't sound like a V8. It grunts, but that's about all you get. Like, you don't get any excitement from driving a stock one. So after you do exhaust, you're going to be addicted to the sound. That is addicting. So, since you hear me popping like popcorn, hence the tag, hold on, before I just want to let you guys know I'm doing 45. Forgot to mention that. So we can talk about tunes. So I talked about intake, talk about exhaust, underdrive pulleys. So that's pretty much everything you can do bolt-on wise. They do have other extreme things, like they have headers. Put this up just in case you can't hear me. They do have headers, but aftermarket headers really don't do much. I mean, they're like $4,000. Some people buy them and they can tell the difference in sound, but nobody's ever actually posted if it actually makes a difference or not. So I don't think they do. Never seen any dyno results. I got the 45 super fast there. Look at that. So I've never seen any crazy dyno results. Nobody ever posted any before and after, because I think truthfully they don't make any horsepower. They make like 2-wheel horsepower after changing the headers, because the stock headers are actually really efficient. So nobody really does headers unless they want to try something different. But nobody's said, wow, I did headers and I gained 30-wheel horsepower. Nobody's ever done it. They've advertised it, like I think on some websites, that yeah, you do headers and you get 30-wheel horsepower, but they're also saying that you do headers, you do catless mid-pipe and exhaust, and you get 30-wheel. Well, that's probably from the mid-pipe and deleting your cats and exhaust. I don't think that's from the headers. Now, maybe in a combination you get 30, but from the headers, you're not getting that much. So as far as tunes, there's quite a few people you can tune from. There's Alpine Tune, there's I don't even know them all. I think there's Evolve, but a lot of people use Arcade Tunes. I use Arcade Tunes. I have a pretty good relationship with Jordan, so I use Arcade Tunes, and Arcade Tunes is great. I think it was probably one of the first things I did too. I did a lot to this car when I first got it because I knew I'll never keep a car stock. That shit's kind of whack. But after I did, you know, all the exhaust stuff and the tune, I mean, then I added the burble tune. Now you do a burble tune, you got to be full catless to do a burble tune because the burble will blow your cats out. So don't even bother doing that. I mean, his tune feels pretty great. His tune like opens up like more top end, and right now I'm on pump gas. I do have an E85 tune also. Now when you get a tune from him, he usually sends you 4. Well, he sent me 4. I have a pump gas tune with no burble tune and a pump gas tune with burble. Then I have an E85 tune, no burble tune, and an E85 tune with burble. And I mean, with or without burble, there's no horsepower difference. It's just they do something with the timing and make it burble. And it burbles after 4,000 RPM, so it doesn't burble all the time. So if I let off the gas right now, it's not gonna burble. It only does it after 4,000 RPM. So it's not like super annoying. If you don't want to burble, you don't have to burble. You could just upshift. But I do it sometimes just to be obnoxious. I do it less as I get older because I realize it's kind of a young guy thing. But it, I do always have the option. Sometimes I'll do it if like someone like wants to hear it or something, but most of the time I don't burble that often. But as far as the tunes feel great. And E85 tune, never got it dynoed before and after E85, so I don't know how much it makes. A lot of people estimate it makes about 10 wheel horsepower. I do feel a difference. I feel a difference more mid-range, but and the thing about E85 tunes is, unlike most cars, when you want to go to E85, you usually got to upgrade your fuel injectors, upgrade your fuel pump and all that stuff. This car's stock fuel system has enough in it to handle E85 bone stock, so you don't have to do anything. All you have to do is get an E85 tune and you can run E85, which is awesome. So I mean, that's pretty cool. If you do supercharger and run E85, well then you got to upgrade stuff, because that's not going to be enough to give you enough fuel for a supercharger and E85. But I mean, some people have done, they supercharge the car, they upgrade the injectors, upgrade the fuel pump, run full E85, and they're making, some are making over 600 wheel. I went that way last time. I'm gonna go this way. Some have made over 600 wheel, so it's and I love 6-speed, by the way. There are DCT, talk about that next. I love 6-speed. Sorry. I love the downshifts. God, this car, man. E85, it seems like it makes enough difference. Look, there's another cop. See, told you cops are everywhere. Now I just burbled in front of the cop. I ain't mean to do that. Look, there's another one. How you doing, officer? Doing good? Don't mind me. Doing 45. Proven. But yes, the E85 tune feels great. Like I said, I haven't dynoed before and after, so I can't really tell you how much it will. Maybe I will one day. But we could talk about performance as in far as my car. I don't know if it's mileage or maybe it's 2008 model for some reason. I don't know, but my car dyno's a lot lower than a lot of other M3s. And like for example, so stock they do between 320, 340 wheel. Look, there's another cop. But I have seen, like my friend Danny's is a perfect example. He's a 2013, that's the last year they made the E9X M3. He was a 2013 and he dynoed and made 344 wheel stock. I never dynoed mine stock. I dynoed mine after all the bolt-ons. And after bolt-ons, I make usually between 360 and 370 for most of my dynos. Like, I mean, different depending on the day. I mean, some dyno I made like 350. It was like summertime. But between 360 and 370 is like my average, pretty much. Like 365, I guess. You could just call it that. So, and his car, bone stock, made 344. And then he did the same not the same exact mods, but he did intake, did exhaust, did full catless, RK tunes, E85, and now his car makes 394. Well, he sold that car now, but that car made 394 on the same dyno. So from 344 to 394, so he gained exactly 50 wheel horsepower going full bolt-on E85, which, I mean, you gotta remember it's an NA car. It's not a turbo car. For the turbo car, you know, you do full bolt-on E85 on a 335, you're making like 450, maybe, you know, close to 500 maybe. But, you know, this is a, I mean, this is an NA car. You don't make that much more over stock. The car's pretty efficient as it is. It's not an LS3, it's not no 5.7 liter, it's a 4 liter. So these bolt-ons don't do as much as they would on another car. Like, again, this is not a straight line car. So if you're buying this car for straight line performance, you're gonna be upset. It's not a straight line car. You think of like a 5.0 Mustang, they dyno after bolt-ons like 450. So I mean, you're not too far off a Mustang horsepower wise. Torque wise, yeah, I mean, torque wise is down to like 250, I think. It's pretty bad. So that's why I said you don't get a lot of power to high end. But I mean, I'm not towing a boat, so I don't need torque. I'm fine. I'm crying right now, but you can't see it because I'm behind the camera. So 6-speed, they have 6-speed and they have DCT, which is, you know, the automatic. You can shift it on a DCT. You can either shift it by pushing it up or down, or you can shift it with the paddles, or just have it in drive and it'll shift for you. That's all going to be personal preference. It's all going to be personal preference. Which one is better? It's better technically is the DCT. The DCT is 7 speeds versus 6-speed manual. So they have shorter gears, more aggressive gears. It shifts a whole lot faster than you can manually shift. So I mean, it's definitely going to be better in terms of what's going to be faster. I mean, it's not a secret, man. You can't really beat automatics. Well, at least now. I mean, back then you could, but you know, now automatics are on a whole new level. So DCT is definitely faster than 6-speed. But me personally, like I said, this is where it comes to preference. I like manual. I will always choose manual. Even if, even like a GT3, a Porsche GT3, they got PDK transmission, which is super, super good. But if I had the opportunity, if I could buy a GT3, I would buy a 6-speed. That's just me. I love shifting gears. I love being more in control of the car and actually doing something. When I drove a DCT, I drove a supercharged DCT. It wasn't even for the channel. It was a long time ago. I drove a supercharged DCT, and it's fast. It's super, super fast, but it got boring. It just got boring. Like for 30 minutes, it got boring. I felt like I wasn't doing anything. I wasn't rolling my own gears, and it just, I don't know, it just got boring. So that's just, again, that's me. Some people will look at this and be like, nah, man, I love my DCT. Had my DCT for 2 years, and it never got boring. I bet it doesn't. That's your opinion. To me, DCT is boring. So I would choose 6-speed. Another cop. Damn. Bro, we have to keep count of all these cops. I can't do nothing out here. So as far as manual versus DCT, another cop. Bro, I'm going home, bro. Oh, we got to cut this thing short because I'm gonna get in trouble out here. I didn't even try to have fun yet. Damn. We can talk about this. This is the, I think it's CIC or CCC. This navigation thing, this is only in the 2008 model. They upgraded for 2009 and up. So I wish if you're gonna buy one, get a 2009, because this shit is ass. I mean, it's super slow. I pushed the button a long time ago. You didn't even see it. It's super slow. I mean, it has climate control and all that stuff. I mean, which, whatever. That's just your basic stuff right here. I mean, there's nothing out of the ordinary, just regular stuff. If you're buying a BMW and you want fancy interior, you're buying the wrong car, because BMWs have never really done fancy interior. If you want all the bells and whistles, get a Mercedes, get an Audi. You're not getting it from BMW. I mean, look at E36s. Their stuff is still falling apart. Should you get an E90, E92, or E93? That is personal preference. Me, I was between E90, the sedan, and E93. I didn't feel like I didn't feel the need to go for the coupe when the convertible was a hardtop and looked like a coupe anyway. So I figured that was best of both worlds. There is a weight difference, a pretty big one too. So a coupe is like 3,650, like, you know, 3,600 pounds, and the convertibles are 4,000. So I mean, it's a 400-pound difference, which is, you know, like having like 2 extra full passengers in your car. So if you are gonna get an M3, again, if you get a convertible, it will be slower because it's gonna be heavier. But I mean, like I said, it's still fast enough to me. And will I supercharge it one day? Maybe. But damn train track, God. But I think it's amazing. Like, I still love this thing. I'm about to put the top down, like I said, so y'all can enjoy the top down experience. So you'll see why I got the convertible. This is my first time ever having a convertible. Never planned on ever buying a convertible, but when I wanted the M3 and I looked and I saw, you know, it was a hard top, I was like, ooh, that looks really good. Looks like a coupe. And, you know, it doesn't look like a rag top, because I really don't like rag tops, most of them. And then I was like, I could put the top back whenever I need to, and if I don't, it's a coupe. That's perfect. But looking back at it in retrospect, I would much rather have an E90. Just being truthful. If I can go back in time, I would have an E90. So there is a trunk partition. I know my spoiler is really, really bad. It's that was one of the first things I did too, and my car just gets sunbaked. Like, its car is extremely dirty. I don't wash it that often, sorry. As far as trunk space, this convertible, it looks like a coupe. You got plenty of room. You put this down, top folds down right here, and if you want to put stuff back there, you still can. But yeah, if you put this up, I mean, it fits just like a coupe. So I mean, same amount of space. Get out of here. Oh. Well, I'm telling you, man, a lot of people hate on convertibles and say they're girl cars. You'll know what I'm talking about 10 seconds. You're gonna love this. I promise you're gonna love this. Because if you think this car sounds good from the outside, welcome to outside. Because now you can really hear the car. I'm telling you, if you guys have headphones on, you're gonna enjoy this. Speed bumps. Wait for the downshift. Oh my God, this is my convertible. It's amazing. And there's more cops. Look at that. More cops. More cops. Jesus Christ, dude. And there's another one over there. See him? Everywhere, dude. Now, I can listen to this all day long, man. Downshift. Man, in conclusion, with everything you heard, do you want, or do you still want an M3, an E9X M3? Would you get 6-speed? Would you stay DCT? Would you get a convertible? Would you get a sedan? Would you just stay with a coupe? If you were to buy an M3 right now, what would you get? It's so addicting. And again, this is after I've had the car for like 4 years and I still love the car, man. Like it doesn't get old to me. pushing my luck because I know it's gonna be another cop around here somewhere, but you get it. This car is amazing. This car is fun. Tell me what you think. Tell me if you think they're gonna get one. That's all I got. Thanks for watching. Nope, not gonna do it. Yes, I am. All right, I'm done. M mode off. I'm done. All right, guys, take care. Deuces.